Good evening, and thanks for joining us on the program this week. Last week, our guest, Dr. George Banjo, a transport economist, a planner, and a former World Bank chief, was discussing on the topic transport infrastructure, system, and sustainability. And he said that roads are not meant for the cars, but that roads are meant for movement. Kate, this came to me as a surprise to know that. And I know he also said that to build a world-class transport system, that government must build more roads, and that they must also plan, provide adequate fund, and collaborate with the people to achieve that goal.
Exactly. All we are talking about is just movement. And an example is the construction of Wemco Road, where you have the pedestrian walkways, the bicycle lanes, the dual carriageway. So it's just all about movement in all its forms.
Movement to make life better for the people.
Exactly.
I'm Obafemi Craig.
I am Kate Harmony. Thanks for joining us today. Tonight, we'll bring you the concluding part of Dr. Banjo's discussion. Join us after the break.
This is the news update on Lamata FR. The picture of Wemco Road being upgraded to a dual carriageway with a pedestrian walkway and bicycle lane is gradually emerging. Extensive work has been carried out on the drainage system, while some sections of the road have received the first asphalt overlay known as the binder course. In other sections, the stone base has been laid ahead of the application of the binder course. The contractor, Arab Contractor, is happy with the cooperation it has received so far from residents, industries and road users around the area, and urge that the support continues. The implementing agency, the Lagos Metropolitan Area Transport Authority Lamata, has assured that with the pace of work, the project will be delivered on schedule. Officials of the Ghana Urban Transport Project have commended the Lagos Metropolitan Area Transport Authority Lamata for its role in promoting knowledge exchange towards enhancing the growth of public transport in Africa. The officials who were on the two-day knowledge exchange program to understudy the implementation of the e-ticketing system and bus rapid transit BRT operations said the management of Lamata had done well in systematically documenting its experiences over the years for the benefit of other African countries that are desirous to replicate the Lagos State successes in the area of public transport. One of the delegates, Michael Konadu, a transport planning, regulation and enforcement expert, commented on his experience during the two-day program, saying that the quality of presentation and resource persons were impacting as the team was able to get the needed knowledge and exposure to proceed further with the implementation of the Ghana Public Transport Scheme, which had been stalled due to its inability to work out and secure workable fare collection and sharing system. That was the news update. Lamata FR continues.
Basically, what Lamata does is to coordinate public transportation in Lagos State, and we came up with a transport master plan.
Developed together with the World Bank, the objective of this plan is finding long-lasting solutions for the problem of transportation in Lagos. Currently under its first steps of development, the plan has already proven itself a big success, dramatically increasing the connectivity in a city in continuous expansion and enjoying an unparalleled demographic and economic growth.
Our responsibility is to ensure that we provide the necessary infrastructure to meet the growth, to improve the quality of life, to improve the standard of living, and to make Lagos a vibrant and livable city in years to come.
Lamata, think transport.
In the actualization of Lagos as a mega city, transportation is vital. The integration of different elements that make up the framework is essential to the process.
In our discussion with Dr. Banjo, he enlightened us on this and more. Dr. Banjo, you are an advocate of a dream of a world-class transport system. And we know that in Lagos State over the last 15 years, in wanting to achieve this world-class transport system in the state, we know that the state government has created agencies like LAMATA, LASMA, LAGBAS, and we also know that transportation budget has increased from 1999 to 2007. How then can Lagos continue to sustain public transport infrastructure in line with that which we're talking about now?
I would like to believe that the government has started on a good footing in trying to create a world-class transport system. In terms of what needs to be done to actually create it, I would say 2 or 3 things. 1, stay the course. Continue to have the courage to put money and to attract private sector into the improvements just as you are trying to do. 2, talk to the people. Explain to them what you are trying to do so that they will be your partners, okay? They will be your partners. When LAMATA was created, that was one issue that we identified, that basically LAMATA is going to have to change the way people, the general public, view transport in this state in order for LAMATA to be able to be allowed to do the kind of things that it needs to do. And a lot of money was put into that. In fact, this LAMATA half hour is part of the process of making sure that the people of Lagos State are kept informed about what the government is trying to do. So, keep the course, okay? Keep the people informed. Third, you need to spend more money.
What is the role of the government and the people in safeguarding our transport infrastructure?
The role of the government, first and foremost, is as an enabler. Okay. To have the right policies in place, to have the right institutions in place, and to have a framework that people would have the confidence that the government sees them as part of the solution, okay, and not as part of the problem. I.e., as an enabler, you must enable the private sector to bring their money in. Now, the private sector, they bring the money in for one purpose only, profit. But in this case, profit by providing a service that is of value to the people. So that brings us to public transportation.
Yes.
That brings us to provision of road infrastructure, tolling, okay?
Okay.
Now, we have just started, I would like to believe, in Lagos State in terms of cost recovery, i.e., the government invests, the private sector invests, and they need to recover some of that investment. I think the level of cost recovery in the transport sector at the moment may not be quite where we want to be. And the government has an important role in convincing people that this thing is not provided just like that.
Like that.
It's provided with money, okay, and people's money,
taxes, yeah.
And so therefore, government has an interest in making sure that the infrastructure is used properly. When I talk about properly, there seems to be a sense that the road is for the car. No, the road is not for the car.
It is for what?
It's for movement. Movement.
That's profound.
I like that.
It's for movement. With Footron, right, with bicycle, with public transport, by car.
Today, what we experience now is traffic congestions, bad roads, and all of that. And to worsen situation, we're told now that in 20 years from now, the projection of the population will be about 30 million people. how do we, or what level of transport infrastructure should we now provide to cope with such huge population?
Three things.
Three things.
Three things. First, Lagos is expanding. How is it expanding? There is a good way to expand physically and have good transport, and there's a bad way to expand and have inadequate transport. Unfortunately, in my own humble view, at the moment, we are more of the latter than of the former. The level of coordination that should exist between the people responsible for land use and those responsible for providing transport infrastructure. Again, it may be that I've been away a little bit and I don't have the up-to-date knowledge, but my sense is that we're not quite where we ought to be. Even look at the estates where, that are booming, that have been set up all over the place. Look at their entrances. Look at their entrances. You go inside the estates, you'll see wide roads, this and that, but then look at the entrances to those estates. Small junctions.
True.
That's true.
Small junctions. And as a result, even those who are wanting to enter, they're backing up on the traffic. And they're slowing down the traffic. And those who are coming out or wanting to come out, they are interfering with, if you go to most places in the world that have good coordination between land use and transport, you will not find that kind of, they're highly deficient. And I think this is one of the areas that the government needs to look into. Again, industries, factories, people are just being allowed to convert their property anyhow. Again, that is imposing a demand for travel, for traffic, increasing traffic in an area where there was never a provision. I mean, Lamata is doing a marvelous job in improving the condition of the road network. Excellent.
Thank you.
But those improvements are being done along a very narrow corridor. And when you look at the developments around those roads are going to need to be upgraded to maybe 4 lanes in each direction. If I can take as an example, Yaya Baton. Okay? Yaya Baton. Okay, good.
Very well. But it's now a new place.
Remember what I said? What I said. Excellent job in improving the condition.
That's right.
Excellent. But in terms of the future, just think to yourself, already you can, even with the new condition, there's still an element of congestion. 5 years' time, 10 years' time, one of the key features of a world-class transport system is that you plan ahead. You don't plan ahead in terms of 5 years. You plan ahead in terms of 10, 20 years. And that means, or that allows you to safeguard the corridor.
Okay.
Let Lagos State come in 5 years' time and they say they want to expand Yaya Baton. The compensation that they will have to pay
to achieve that
will be phenomenal. And that would be a discouragement.
So they should have actually done it before this time.
I didn't say that.
It's still a matter half hour with Dr. Banjo, and we'll go on a break now. When we return, we'll take questions from our audience. Stay with us.
It's good to have you back with us. We've been discussing with Dr. George Banjo, a transport economist and planner, and an ex-World Bank chief. He's been speaking with us on transport infrastructure, system, and sustainability. Now we have our studio audience with us, and it's time to invite them to talk to us, take their questions, make their comments, as well as contributions on the subject matter. It's a pleasure to have you all here with us in the studio today. Well, we'd like to take your questions now, if there are any questions you want to ask.
Can we know what makes a world-class transport system?
Time. That's certainly one, and I'm not joking, time. The transport system that you see in London, you know, I don't know if you've experienced it, the London transport, the tube and all this, they're over a century, you know, old, 100 years old. Started by the private sector, then it went to the public sector, then it went to private sector, now it's with the public sector in terms of the operation. But the way in which the public sector is operating now is very much different from the way in which they were operating that system back in the 60s. Secondly, money. You know, Obetodun, Owolopa. And like I said earlier, yes, government is spending more and more, okay? But they need to continue to spend more and more. Let me give you one statistics. In the transport sector, typically, if you say you want to spend 100 naira to build a road, about 60 naira, it goes out, foreign exchange. So that means that it's not just about making naira. You have to convert part of that naira into foreign exchange, and that increases the cost. And that is why, going back to this question of indigenization, maybe one of the things in terms of indigenization is to improve the capacity of Nigerians in the area of transport management, transport planning, policy making, and so on. Because at the moment, I think this is something that perhaps we can say is inadequate relative to the need, to the demand for transport experts, people with good transport knowledge. It's not quite where we would like it to be. So that is the dimension of indigenization that perhaps we could be talking about. Because if you have more people, Nigerians, who have the right expertise, you don't have to pay for foreign experts to be coming here.
Big ups to the works of Lamata, but I want to know the future of Lamata.
It was established with political will, like I said earlier, and like anything, it is dependent on the will of whoever is in power, okay? I think once you elect a governor, you've given them the mandate to do what they feel to be necessary. And so therefore, if they think that Lamata is no longer part of the solution, well, Lamata can disappear. However, my belief is that if anybody were to say that, what they will put in place of Lamata would just be Lamata by any other name, okay? Because the job that has been given Lamata to do by the government is a job that is necessary in the transformation of the transport system in Lagos State to a world-class transport system. Lamata cannot do it alone, like I said earlier. It has to work in partnership with all the other agencies, LASMA, LAGBOS, and so on. And maybe a new agency that a new governor may decide to create, because you have the railway infrastructure that is now being built. Somebody has to operate it.
Exactly.
Okay? The role that was envisaged for Lamata was that it would be like a spearhead, pushing things forward and also bringing all the agencies together, coordinating, so that government gets the best value for its money in the transport sector.
Thank you for your questions and contributions, ladies and gentlemen. So, Dr. Banjo, with your wealth of experience and exposure and all that has been said today, what would be your parting words to our viewers at home?
The most important thing is for the viewers, the citizens of Lagos State to recognize that more roads will need to be built, but not for the primary use of the car, but for public transportation. The future is in public transportation. The challenge to the government and to the people of Lagos State, I have a picture which I hope that they can show now. If you look on the right-hand side, you will see that when you look at that part of the city, you can hardly see any road. There is no form or shape. With such a road network, you cannot operate an efficient public transport. Look at the left. You see a road network that is well laid out. The right is mainly what we have in Lagos State at the moment. The challenge is transforming from the right to the left. We need railways, definitely. We need railways. But the key is in bus public transport. And that is what I hope the people of Lagos State will help the government to be able to achieve.
Well, it's been a refreshing session with you today, and we have been enlightened.
It's been a really refreshing session.
I felt once again like I'm in a class.
Yes, and we really enjoyed this exposition.
Thank you very
And we do hope you'll come back sometime soon.
Well, I'm always available.
Even tomorrow.
Even tomorrow.
All right, and that concludes this discussion segment with Dr. Banjo. We'll be back after the break.
Ọ̀rọ̀ tí àlejò wa bá wa sọ lórí ètò tòní ni wípé kí gbogbo wa fọwọ́sowọ́pọ̀ pẹ̀lú ìjọba àti iléeṣẹ́ Lamata kí ìpínlẹ̀ Èkó lè dára. Wọ́n sọ fún wa wípé ọ̀rọ̀ tó wà nílẹ̀ pé ohun mẹ́ta ló ṣe pàtàkì: ètò ṣíṣe, owó lílò àti sùúrù kí ohun gbogbo tí wọ́n ń ṣe kí ó lè dára. Wọ́n wá ń rọ ìjọba wípé kí wọ́n túbọ̀ tẹ̀síwájú lórí ohun tí wọ́n dáwọ́lé yìí, lórí ètò ọkọ̀ BRT wa, reluwé wa àti ohun tó kù lórí ọ̀rọ̀ ètò ọkọ̀, kí ohun gbogbo tá à ń ṣe yìí kó lè dára ju ti àwọn ìlú mìíràn lọ.
Wetin our guest talk today be say, make we join hand, make we support Lagos State and Lamata for the work wey dem dey do. This work, make it for better, we go need to sit down, think am well well. No be the kind work wey dem dey do sharp sharp. E go take time, and pepper must rest too. E come advise government make dem continue, make dem carry go for the work wey dem dey do, so that tomorrow our BRT, our railway, our road and other transport for Lagos State go better. E go champion wetin dey for other country dem.
You can connect with us by using the details now appearing on your screen. We'd love to hear from you.
Every member of our audience will go home with a loaded Lagos Connect card. Till next week. Lamata.
Think Transport! Eko Akete, Lagos, my home. With Lamata, Lagos is changing for the best. BRT lanes, modern rail lines, pedestrian bridges.